Hello, and today we will be turning a mini fridge into an air conditioning unit. In my house during the heat of summer, my room ends up being somewhere around 80 to 90 degrees due to the central air being on the far side of the house. And I've bought many devices like this fan that uses cold water and ice to cool down the air from the fan, but the only thing that it causes is the humidity in the room to raise up, and especially muggy and sticky, especially for Florida. It's not good. Constantly running the ceiling fan as well as a box fan in the case that I really need some help, but today I got myself a mini fridge, got it from work. Nothing really wrong with it except for the aesthetics. There's a bit of paint issue on it, and because I'm a total barbarian, I jumped into it without really thinking and planning and looking into maybe that there might be something I might run into. With these mini fridges, there is a coil that goes along the outside of the body, especially on the right side where I was drilling, and that's how they dissipate the heat from the compressor. So I happened to cut right into one without thinking and pretty much drained all of the Freon out of the system. So just learn from my mistakes here, and probably best to leave the left and right hand sides of the fridge alone. So let's try this again. Now, because I work at a hotel, I just got myself another fridge. Now, this one being a larger size, I got it for free because it was full of maggots and fly larvae, and it smelled like death. So, because the right side fan didn't really work out as I wanted it to, we're just gonna cross that out and just not do it. So the parts I'll be using today is a nice small centrifugal fan. Uses standard 110, 120 volts AC. Pretty simple. The wires are non-polarized, so you don't have to worry about whether it's the neutral or live wires on either side. I'll be using a speed controller to adjust the speed of the fan in the case that it's a little too loud, but I still want some cold air, and got this off eBay for a couple bucks. And with it, we'll put it right there. To turn off and on the fan, I found this simple Wi-Fi controlled switch. You can either use it just as an on and off switch, or you can use it to detect the ambient temperature of the room and also the humidity of the room to adjust it. Now, this baby came from China, so of course, as you know, everything is under control. The module is pretty simple, on and off button. Press and hold to pair it with the app on the phone, and very simple. Got the hole in the side for the thermostat as well as the humidistat, and that's about it. So let's get to work. Now with this iteration, I decided to place the fan in the door of the fridge instead of on the sides. Now because I ain't nobody's fool, I decided to safely cut into the backside with a Dremel to see if there were any wires back there. As far as I could tell, there weren't any wires, neither any coil. So, cut into the plastic on the inside from the backside and simply just hold it out. Now using a part from the old fridge, I decided to use that to make an intake vent. Now, because it has to be said, never work on live wires. Make sure everything's unplugged, never work on anything that's live, or else you'll probably get a shock of your life, and maybe the only shock of your life, because, well, it'll be the last shock you'll ever receive. Plug it in. Make sure the app's running. As you can see here, the ambient temperature of my room is 88 degrees, and that's no joke. I've got the set points. The low point is 75 and the high point is 79. So once it reaches 75, the fan will turn off, and then the fan will turn back on once it reaches 79. Now here's my final takeaway. The refrigerator that I got the second time around, this one here, there's an issue with the refrigerator itself, that it just doesn't stay cold. It takes a long time to cool down, and luckily I could probably get myself another fridge. The second issue that there is when the door is closed, the amount of air being pulled in from behind the coil at the back of the fridge is just not sufficient enough to hold the amount of air that is being pulled from the fan. So definitely the second time around doing this design, I'll probably put the fan on the back side of it instead of on the inside, as well as expanding the vent hole to allow for more air to pass through. I definitely know on this side of the fridge there is a wire that goes down that feeds the thermostat, but definitely on this side should be nothing there, so that's probably where I'll place the vent. Now the final thing I'll have to say is I would recommend boxing in this rear area and then placing an independent fan to vent off the hot air off of the compressor. It does produce a lot of heat when pulling the heat out of course, the refrigerant. So I would recommend boxing this in and venting off the heat, just so you're not heating up your room while you're trying to cool it down. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.